Yeah, because this is really special. You know, Florida went through some stuff last week, and there's a lot of people that were affected, but we made it here. So there's a big round of applause for yourselves for coming. That is so freaking awesome. Yeah, guys, so let me first, if there's anybody that's ever going to introduce you, Terry is the man for the job. Am I right? You know, whenever he gets to talking, it makes me just want to run through walls. So thank you, Terry, for that amazing introduction. And I wouldn't be able to move forward if I didn't thank Andy and Jane for the opportunity, right? And that's a lot of us here. It's like there would never be a world. For you guys that don't know, I'm on Big Mike's team, and he's not here right now, but this man is like 100 years old. And, you know, but seriously, there's a 40-year gap between Mike and I. That's crazy, right? A 40-year gap. So there's nowhere else, right, that our worlds would align without this opportunity. That is insane, right? And if our worlds don't align, if Mike and I don't align, then I don't get the relationships that I have now. And I don't get the friendships that I have now. And I don't get to meet Andy and Angela Riddle. And I don't get grown and stretched in ways that I could barely imagine. Like, it's just insane the way my wife and I, the way our lives have changed. So we are so, so grateful. Had to start with that, get that out the way. Okay, all right, so here's the deal. About 4 years ago, okay, that's when I got started. I remember thinking to myself, like, hey, look, if these people could just tell me what I'm selling, I could take it from here. Y'all ever feel that way? Like, if y'all could just tell me about the products, we're gonna be all right. And can I get a show of hands if you guys have felt the same way? Yeah, I see a lot of hands, and I see some liars as well. Yeah, because everybody feels that way, right? It's like if you knew what you were selling, then we would make a killing. And the thing of it is that you can do a lot. You can do a lot in this business. You can sell a lot of insurance. You can help a lot of families with a gist of insurance. Okay, what a gist of insurance, right? Where you kind of, you know, we all go through the class, you kind of know how this product works and this product works. What a gist. And for a basic understanding for my new people, somebody dies, somebody gets a tax-free check. Fair? Fair. All right. But there's some stuff in this business that the gist approach just doesn't work. Right? Like, the gist just ain't gisting. Right, Terry, right? The gist just ain't gisting. And so there's some stuff in this business, some aspects of this business that are going to take some precision, right? And that's precisely, no, I'm just kidding. But it's like there are these aspects of this business that are going to take precision. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? Because it has nothing to do with the products. So these are things that you guys, wherever you're at in this business, you can go home and you can implement now. And that's what's so special about it. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the precision, the foundation of success today, okay? All right, so let's figure this out. Okay, all right, so let's break it up. What is precision, okay? So pre being before, cision being to cut, right? Precision is the state of being exact and accurate, implying preparation and accuracy in execution. And I was like, dang, that's a lot of words. Like, that is, like, it's a kind of a mouthful. When you say it, it doesn't go down real easy. But if you just think about it for a second, it's like, what is it here that we need to be precise and accurate or exact and accurate about? Where in the preparation do we need the accuracy and execution? Right? Do y'all want to know that? Yeah. Okay, all right. So, yes. All right, so let me turn this up. So I thought today that it's going to break down into 4 different pillars, right? So we can talk about the in-home, we can talk about this, we can talk about that, but all of it will circle back. Precision will circle back in this business to 4 different pillars. All right, so the pillars are mindset, communication, work, and duplication. I want y'all to repeat after me. So mindset, communication, work, and duplication. Woo, we're going to get started. All right, so if we're going to dive in, right, we're going to start with mindset because here's the deal. Mindset shapes precision, okay? So I decided to look up, like right before I was doing this talk, I decided to look up the training, or I decided to research the training that Navy SEALs, their mental training, what they got to go through. And when I say research, I mean like some chat GPT, right? Because that's how our generation does some research nowadays. And I just thought, like, when they broke it up for me, I found that there were some pretty good parallels to this business, okay? And so ChatGPT did a heck of a job, and they said the first thing, or you guys can see it, right? Okay, so they said the first thing that the Navy SEALs mental training trains on is survival in high-stress situations. And I was like, okay. And what are those high-stress situations for Navy SEALs? That's underwater missions. That's high-stake rescues. That's combat zones, right? And they train, some of the gruesome, most intense training in the world, right? They have to undergo, and they're trained to not lose focus, to not freeze up, and to make critical decisions. I'm like, dang, those are high, like, how can you even think like that, right? But then you think about what's high stake for us in this business. We got some high stake situations. Y'all ever been in those smelly homes? Oh my God, you can't even see sometimes. I haven't taken a breath in minutes, but I'm like, I'll be damned if I don't help this lady, right? Okay, what about getting hung up on? Oh, that hurts. Oh, it hurts so bad, right? Getting rejected. And it's not just once, right? I've heard multiple times that sales is a masochist business, right? You have to almost enjoy it, get a fun, make it a game, right? But getting hung up on, getting rejected, that's pretty high stake here. What about when people don't show up for us? And we all get disappointed here with events, right? But what about when our clients don't show up at our appointments? Like, aren't we special enough? Didn't we call and say a time? Don't they value what we bring? These are our high-stakes situations. What I'm asking you is, can we not freeze up? Can we not lose focus? And can we make critical decisions? Fair? All right. The second thing they train on is to resist emotional and physical fatigue. And I was like, ooh. All right, so they're trained, okay, to fight past physical exhaustion. They maintain focus even when their body is shutting down. That's powerful. So what does that look like here for us? Okay, there are going to be days when every part of you wants to quit. Every part of you wants to quit. I'm talking about those long appointment days. I'm talking about the days where, kind of like what Jeremico was saying, where you go all day, right? And then it's that last one, the one you heard all about, the one where you're supposed to get 6 policies. It's supposed to make your entire day. You wait all day for that day, and that person ain't there either. That's a terrible drive home, because you were thinking, yeah, that's my story today. You're like, yeah, that is the last one. And turns out it's not. And that's going to happen. Oh, my God, it's going to happen. I'm telling you, if there's anybody in this business, any top salesperson that says they had a day that they didn't make a sale, like if they told you that that's not going to happen to you, that's a lie. It's a lie. I'm just telling you, right? And it's like, but does that mean the next day won't be no sales? No, but there are going to be days like that. And on those days, can we push past? Can we maintain focus even when every parts of us want to shut down? And the other part, too, about this is that they didn't mention it, but let me mention it here. Sometimes it's not even going to be our bodies that want us to shut down. Sometimes, when you're carrying, your family like this, and they're like, hey, this isn't working. Sometimes it's going to be external forces that are going to push you and want you to quit, right? So I'm asking you, can you maintain focus even when their parts are shutting down? All right. So let me see this. All right. So here, the third one is to overcome fear and uncertainty. And like, what's been really cool this entire weekend is like, there's been so many similarities in like a lot of the leadership's talk. So it's like, if that's happened to you, find comfort because it's supposed to. You know, does that make sense? So they're trained, okay? They're trained in to overcome fear. So they're trained to confront fear, right, with no hesitation. So confront fear with no hesitation and rely on their training to keep going. Here we go. So they're trained to confront it head on and rely on their training to keep going. So here we confront fear too. And that fear is probably that we're not good enough. Fear that we're not good enough, fear that we're gonna say the wrong thing. Y'all ever been scared to say the wrong thing? Okay, here's the deal. It's like you guys are all here and somebody has said the wrong thing to you. Probably, but it wasn't to the wrong person, which is how you're still here. You didn't even know it was the wrong thing. Does that make sense? So we're scared to say the wrong thing. We're scared it won't work out. We're scared people will cancel. I'm thinking like, what if we just knew that some people would cancel? Like if we just kind of expect, some people will do that. Some people will change their mind and that's gonna be okay. Can you trust in our system? Can you trust in the leaders? And can you trust in your training to execute the mission? Can we do that? So here, I used to have this thing on my phone, like right before I got out the car. Every single day, it's like my screensaver. Some people have their family, some people have, the income they want or the car they want. I used to have this thing on my phone that said, be afraid and do it anyway. And I'm like, can you just hang on to, be afraid and do it anyway? Do it anyway. All right. The fourth thing that they train on is unbreakable confidence. Unbreakable confidence. And so when I think about it, sometimes you can look at people and you can tell the people who are really, really confident. Like when God was pouring in confidence, there was some times where it was like, right? For some people, it just overflows. And then on other people, you can tell it kind of went like this. The cool part about confidence is that it could be developed. It can be developed. And so they focus on failure not being an option. Okay, they embrace challenges and setbacks as opportunities to grow. And here, y'all are going to have some challenges. I have had some challenges. Everybody in here that's doing anything worthwhile has had some challenges. People who aren't even doing this business are having challenges. So why would it be any different? You're in business, you wouldn't have no challenges. That would be crazy, right? Don't make no sense, Terry. Thank you. All right, y'all. Look, I can't talk to myself. I need y'all. Are you with me? All right, here we go. All right. So Brian says this thing, and it's so good for the team, right? He says, a tough day for the ego is good for the soul. So build the grit and grow from it. See, here's what I know. You guys ever had a manager that, like, got hired as the manager? Okay, like that manager didn't do the job that you're doing. They got hired as the manager. So a lot of times you're looking at them and you're like, you don't even know. You never even did it. You don't get it. I've had managers that way, and a lot of people don't respect it, right? Because they didn't put the boots on. They didn't build the grit. So we have to start believing that we can do. Even when life, we can do. Okay? Now, the fifth and final thing that they focus on, and this is probably my favorite, okay, is that they foster the team trust and dependability. Okay? They focus on each team member is someone they can depend on no matter what the circumstances are. If one person cracks under pressure, it puts the whole team at risk. The whole team at risk. So I'm asking you, like, are you guys somebody that your team can rely on? Like, if you look to the left and you look to the right, are they somebody that you can rely on? Or is it only when the good is good? Is it only when their sales are up? Are they only calling you when their sales are up? Like, where are they when they're down? Right? Where are you when they're down? How about that? And it's like, so here's the deal. It's like when these tickets went on sale, They just went on sale, right? Who got their ticket? All right, so I hope, honestly, right, there were some hands that didn't go up. So when you didn't buy the ticket, are you the guy that's putting your team at risk? Are you the girl that's putting your team at risk? Are we just not making eye contact, thinking that somebody won't ask you if you got your ticket? Like, managers can see who bought their ticket, guys. And a lot of times, all the reasons that you don't want to go are all the reasons that you should, are all the reasons that you need to. So I'm asking you, are you putting the freaking team at risk? Right? Because here's the deal. This team, so I've been with the company about 4 years now, okay? But this team has been around over 2 decades, right? So the team is strong. The team is going to team without us no matter what. However, we need to start pulling our own weight. We as leaders need to start pulling our own weight. So here, and the thing about it, guys, is like, so the mindset is going to shape the rest of this conversation. Because if you have stinking thinking, the rest of the pillars won't even matter, okay? But like I said, the mindset can be developed. The confidence can be developed. Ask me, Michelle, how can you do it? It's going to come from the books that you read. It's going to come from the people that you surround yourself with, right? And be careful. The people you surround yourself with need to be like-minded people. And then the other thing is like, get real close to someone who already has this mindset and study them. So I have the distinct pleasure of my mentor being a complete lunatic, okay? Like, if you guys were in the Riddle Night Owl yesterday, and he was showing you, like, what his feet have looked like, and with the mountains and the hikes and I'm telling you, this man is putting himself and his body through war. He's stretching himself in ways that, like, me and Cassie are like, like, what? I've never seen anybody do that kind of stuff. But he's growing and pushing himself past the impossible, which is allowing me to believe. Does that make sense? Like, he has not stopped no matter what. His feet were telling him to stop. He didn't stop. And if I got close to him and I could figure out why he kept pushing, then I can keep pushing, right? Okay, so this guy said this, can't quite remember his name, but he said that it's so much easier to persevere than it is to quit. So much easier to persevere than it is to quit. Because most of the time when we do quit, like, okay, let me tell you, so I do this Pilates class, and, right? Y'all see it? Okay, all right, so I do this Pilates class, and you can see, so the trainer, like, walks around, she's like, 5 more seconds or whatever, and the 5 seconds are long, Terry. They're longer than the 5. I'm like, your math is wrong, but you're holding a plank, and you can see when she turns around like this, you can see how many people let up the plank, right? You can see it, and the problem is with that is that they probably gave in way too soon. Like, they knew they could have held it for 5 more seconds, and they just didn't do it. And that feeling that you have when you quit and you didn't empty the tank, oh my God, it doesn't go away. It does not go away. And guess what? It will appear when you do quit. You're going to try to do something else, and it's going to come again. It's going to linger with you forever. How about this? When you do succeed at something, you're still going to remember that feeling. And maybe that feeling is the thing that keeps you going, right? But it's still always going to be there. So just always remember that it's easier to persevere than it is to quit. Okay, now Vincent Lombardi, he was a football coach. I'm more of a basketball girl myself. But football, the coaches, they have a lot of gems. They drop a lot of things. And this coach, what he said is that if we could adopt the mindset that winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. I was like, ooh, that hits. Okay, all right, so let's go into our next slide. So that is mindset, okay? Let's move on to pillar number 2. That is communication. Okay, so fun fact, okay, I went to school. I got my degree in communication. And if you're wondering what you do with that degree, you do insurance, clearly. But But I just remember I had a professor, and he was telling me, he said, hey, by the time your kid goes to kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, college, they're going to learn how to do math like 10 different times. They're going to learn 20 different ways to do science. The technology is going to evolve. The formulas are going to change. And he's just said, it's always going to change. Now, communication and the principles that we have around the way that we speak to people, that has never changed. And I was thinking there, I said, dang, you should find comfort in that. That has never changed. The problem why we don't find comfort is some of us still haven't learned to communicate properly. Right? So the way that you communicate properly with precision, right, is to be clear, concise, and delivered with intent. Clear, concise, and delivered with intent. So, Michelle, what do we need to be clear, concise about? One, we need to be clear and concise about how we speak to ourselves, what we want ourselves to feel from what we're communicating, right? So just recently, I started doing something new. Actually, if I were to go back, when I started traveling, just trying to build my team, getting out of my comfort zone, I would say to myself, I can do hard things. I can do hard things. I say this to my new agents. I'll say, hey, this is the worst you'll ever see me. This is the worst I'll ever be. If you are brand new, this is the worst you'll ever be. Say that. This is the worst you'll ever be, and it's going to get better. Now, that only applies if you don't sit in this is the worst you ever be, right? What can we get clear and concise about? We can get clear and concise about our goals. So they talked about it. With the coin. I thought Adam did a great job. It's what is it that you want, right? How are you going to get it? But before you can even talk about how you're going to get it, we need to get clear and concise about what it is that we want. And so a lot of us are unhappy with our jobs. So when I found this business, I was unhappy with my job, right? And so if you can think about that, and it's I'm unhappy with my job, that's pretty clear. Unhappy. Okay. All right. Now, you want to leave the job, right? Right. When? When do you want to leave the job? What will it take for you to leave your job, right? What will it take? So is it going to be replacing your income for a month, replacing your income for 2 months? Will you feel good if you put a certain amount of money in the bank before you quit your job? What is it going to take is the key, because we could want to leave our job, but a lot of us want to leave our job and we don't do it, right? We can get clear about, we want to make X amount of dollars, but then we don't do it because it's when. I want to make $10,000. When? I want to make $100,000. When? Is that in a month? Is that in a year? Is that in 2 years? Is that in 5 years? You can see how we could miss the message if we're not clear and concise, right? Because I'm a big believer in how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And so if we're not clear about what our goals are, you could imagine the next thing we got to be clear about, which is expectations. So what is it going to take? You can imagine that we're not that clear with that either. Right? So expectations. So what can you expect from me? First. So what, and if nothing is expected of you, that is even worse. If nothing is expected of you, that's even worse. So a lot of people, they don't like pressure, but pressure means something is expected of you. And who's doing the expecting, right? So what I'm trying to say is I found a coach and he got expectations of me. Do I know what those are? I have expectations of him. Does he know what those are? And they need to be communicated clear and concisely, because it's going to make a world of difference here. What about our struggles? So a lot of us, let me give you an example, okay? A lot of people, when you ask them, especially here, if you find somebody new, I love talking to them, because I'm like, hey, how long you been here? 2 months, 1 month, doesn't matter. You'll get the same thing. They're like, how's it been going? Well, the voice goes real high. They're like, what's been going on? It's the dials. Or, it's the appointment, it's the leads. Y'all ever hear, people who are hiring, you hear that? It's the dials, it's the appointments, it's the leads, right? And so you're like, what do you mean? What do you mean the dials? No one answers. That's how, no one answers. Okay, I made a bunch of dials, right? A bunch of dials. I ran a ton of appointments. And you're like, what precisely does that mean? What is a bunch of dials? Because if you can communicate that struggle with us, we can help you. But we don't know a bunch. If I said I got a bunch of people here, do you know what that means? You don't know. If I said I had a bunch of drinks last night, you know what that means? You couldn't really tell unless I was a little sluggish. You wouldn't be able to tell what a bunch means, right? Or what about a ton of appointments? I've been here 4 years, and I don't think I've ran a ton of appointments. But some of you guys have been here 2 weeks, and we've been there, done that, ran a ton of appointments. You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't, as leaders, and that's the struggle. That's how we're communicating what we're going through. That's how we're communicating the thing we want help with. But how are we as coaches supposed to diagnose that? Can we? I mean, we could take a shot. I've been trying. But a lot of times, guys, when we use words like that, when we're not clear about it, that's what brings in all of the emotion, right? That's what brings in all of the emotion, because if we don't know how many exactly, we just start saying everybody. We start believing, Jeremico, that they are conspiring against us. They all just know each other. They're like, hey, don't let that man in your house, bro. Like, and that's not true. It's not true. A lot of times when you ask that agent, like, when they're saying they're struggling with dials, you say, how many dials do you make? I don't know what's worse is when you get like a really, really low number. Like they'll say 60. Oh, shoot, let's just 200, right? Or the person who doesn't know how many. Both are bad, guys. Both are bad, because 200 when? In a day, in a week? 200 one time? 210 times? Did you make 200 dials 10 times and nobody helped you? Or did you make 200 dials one time and never pick the phone back up again? So we have to get clear about what it is that we're struggling with, so that way people can properly help, right? All right, what about, guys, can you scroll this down for me, please? Just a smidge. Okay. The other thing that we need to get clear about is ideas. So I don't know about you guys, but I like to think I've had some pretty good ideas, right? You guys ever think you had a great idea and then you check with somebody and they're not that good? And usually my method is like, I'm not even checking, or I used to, let me be clear, I used to. But I wouldn't even be checking. I'd be saying it in conversation, like, oh yeah, that's why I did this. So that's why I bought the agent leads, because they really needed it, right? I'll do the right, and then it'll be like, wrong. We don't need ideas. So your leaders don't need new ideas. The system's already created. We just need you to do. We just need you to perform. But if you are, what'd you say? Eyeballs. So if you do have ideas, just run them up the pipeline. Check your thinking with somebody else, especially when you're new, because it's those slight miscommunications that are going to jack you up. They're going to jack you up, because we need to be, and who are you checking with? Is there fruit on that tree? Is there fruit on the tree? Sometimes you come to the events and you'll see, I always get weary when I see a bunch of new people all gathered together. I'm like, this don't look good. Because there's one leading the pack. There's one ringleader that is spreading all the news. And it's, again, with the bunch and the ton, and it's all that. And new people don't know how to decipher. They don't know that you need precision in the numbers. They don't know that 50 isn't a lot or 200 isn't a lot. So it's just congregating somewhere, just spreading some bad stuff. So who are you communicating with? Are you being precise about it? Are you going out of your way to find people who have been there, done that, can get you to the other side? Or do you have a bunch of people in your circle just being like, oh, that's a good idea? That's a good idea. We call those yes men. That's a good idea. Oh my gosh, yeah. I should have did that. That's all bad, right? If you don't have somebody that's challenging the way that you're thinking, you're speaking to the wrong people. All right? So if the first order is misunderstood, then the entire mission fails. If the first order is misunderstood, the entire mission fails. And so miscommunication in high-stakes situation, right, if we're just going off of the military theme, that can cost you your life. That can really cost you your life. Here, it'll cost you some sales. It'll cost you a relationship or two. And you keep it up, it's going to cost you your business. Miscommunication is so critical. It's imperative to your success here on how precise you are with your communication. Okay? Now, there's another part of the communication. So the communication was clear and concise, but the delivery was with intent. So that's that last part, is with intent. So maybe we're starting to say the right things, but how are we saying them? How are we saying them? So what is your tone? See, tone can make all the difference here. So my parents are in the room, which is pretty special, right? And they're right here. And they don't know this, but I think that they are the worst texters, okay? And if you guys have parents like mine, you're gonna respond real well, okay? But you could hit them with like the most exciting news. I'm talking about groundbreaking, crazy news, and they'll hit you with a nice. But it's tone, right? It's tone. You guys ever text somebody something and they say, okay, and you're just like, doesn't that just piss you off? Or how about sometimes I'll text my mom and I'll be like, hey, you need something? No. It's like, why are you yelling at me? Why are you yelling? We don't have a concept of what the tone is, so we put our own tone on it. That's a problem. That causes miscommunication. See, here's the thing about tone is the way that the person interprets what you're saying. And I don't just mean, right, with my parents, right? I'm talking about what's your tone with your clients? When somebody says, my son died, are you saying, oh my God? Or how about this? Oh my God. See, it's the same thing, right? But if you didn't have a tone on it, it seems like I don't give a damn. Right? So what I'm saying here, guys, is that it's not just what we're saying, right? And it's not just who we're saying it to, but now there's that third part of the party. How are you saying it? How are people receiving the message? And if you're wondering, like, here's just a little tip. When you say something and somebody's neck goes like this, you said it wrong, you said the wrong tone. You could have said the right thing, but it could have just been the wrong tone, right? Or you see somebody's body language, or your clients, all of a sudden, they gotta go. You ever have a client that's just with you the whole time, and then out of nowhere, they're like, oh my gosh, my daughter's coming, and you're like, wait, does she want insurance? I could be right here. Like, you just don't really know how to respond, but you have done something. There has been a disconnect in your communication. And guess what, guys? Like, here, we're talking about the words that you say and how you say it and who you're speaking to. But what about your body language? What's that communicating as well? See, sometimes you can read somebody's body language and know that you offended them. And the thing about it is that sometimes a lot of this stuff you're brought up. And you learn it along the way. I don't know if you guys have ever said something and somebody like squinches their nose like this. Don't you know to repeat yourself? Like they're confused. Nobody has ever wrote that in a textbook. But you pick that up along the way. You've picked up, like when somebody's head goes like this, you re-explain something. So that's not written anywhere. You're just gonna pick it up along the way. So if you're brand new and communication is just like, oh, this seems like a lot. Now, if I was scared of what to say before, I'm definitely scared now because I don't know if it's like you're going to learn it along the way. You're going to learn it along the way. It's more caught than it is taught. And if you just continue to watch the people that you idolize and you watch how they communicate, and then if you were to pull them aside and say, hey, why did you communicate it like that? Why did you say it like that? Why didn't you put in all the details I thought were important? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's where new agents, where you're saying something, and then they fill in all the things that they thought were important. It's like, just hang on 1 second. Like, ask your leader why they didn't say it. Ask your leader why they didn't send a text message for the person to come to conference. They called them. Coco, ask them these things because, guys, this is how you're going to grow. This is how you're going to grow. And okay, so we can skip on here. We're moving pretty good. All right, so just to tie that all up, guys. So your mindset is going to slip right into communication, and communication is going to develop. And also, your vocabulary is going to change the more books that you read, the more that you're around. That's why these events are so critical to how you're going to grow. So the third pillar here is the work. Okay. And so precision in action is doing the work. So all of the planning, all of the mindset, and the communication, it means nothing. It means nothing without action. So the best way to get to the top is to get off of your bottom. So what is the work, Michelle? The work is the dials, the contacts, and the appointments. But the work is also the accountability to track it. Please don't make us start counting your book. That's your job. That's your work. It's the coaching that you seek. If you want coaching, go seek it. Honestly, your leaders are not mind readers, so sometimes we don't know. And some of you are hard to read. Like, we don't actually know if you took a note, if you're recording, if you're we don't really know. So if you want coaching, you got to go out and seek it. And make sure that you seek it from somebody who's getting the results that you want. It's the training call. So we do 3 training calls a week. When do we do them? 3 times a week. Sometimes whenever I talk to somebody new in another city, I go to Houston quite a bit, I'll see somebody and they'll be like, I just didn't have the training. I'm like, hey, you been on the calls? No. I'm like, hey, your guy does a team call every Monday. You been on it? No. Are you dialing? No. But this is so hard. I'm like, yeah, come on. We're not even laying ourselves up for success. We're not even putting in the work. But we expect someone to go to work for us. It's the nonstop personal development. These events have been so critical. So like my first 2 years in this business, I thought I could get by on just charm. All right? I was doing okay. I was making more money than I ever have before, right? I was relying on the communication skills that I've either learned growing up or I've learned in school, right? And I was doing all right, but the problem with that is that it was slow. It was slow and it was like rocky and chaotic. When I started to see real growth, real consistent overrides, real consistent in my business, it was when I got more consistent on the work I was putting in on myself. Oh my gosh, when I was getting put in. So let me give this example, okay? So think of us as a bodybuilding competition, okay? Bodybuilding competition, and when you put in the work, so think about the gym as you running 15 appointments. Okay? If you gym, you're running 15 appointments. Okay? Think about the act of actually meal prepping as mapping out your schedule. Putting your leads in zip codes, road warrior, whatever that may look like, right? That is the act of meal prepping. Think about it like that. Okay? Now, the act of actually eating clean, okay, that would be the good stuff that you're putting in your body. So that's the events, that's the books that you read, that's the people you're around. Y'all with me? Okay, so if we just gym, we just lift weights, but we don't meal prep and we don't eat clean, we are strong, but we actually don't feel that good, and we got a little bit of chub, right? And there ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of chub, but it's like, ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of chub, right? But if that's all that we're doing, right? And we're in a bodybuilding competition. We're not doing that hot. Now, what about the alternative? What about the people that spend all the time meal prepping, researching all the different stuff that's good for you, and then they go out and they just eat clean, right? I mean, just nonstop, day in, day out. Well, they feel really, really good. Like, they're probably slim. They probably even look good, but they are not strong. They're weak. And here in this business, are you just gymming? Like, are you just lifting weights? Or are you eating clean? How about this? Are you gymming sometimes? Eating clean when it's convenient? Eating garbage is cheap, right? Are you doing that stuff? And I'm telling you, it's not physically, right? Because we're not in a bodybuilding competition. But if you're weak in this business, it means our minds are weak, our bank accounts are weak. We don't feel good about ourselves. So it's not an or situation. This is an and. The work is and. It's this and, this and, this and, right? And it's that compound of the work that just goes crazy for you. I don't know if you guys know, but today is my 75th day of 75 hard. And like, I think I did it about a year ago, and the way that I celebrated was undoing all of the work, all of the work that I had did for 75 days. I had more drinks, more food. I hadn't drank a gallon of water since I finished, and I did it wrong. Because I know this time on my 75th day, tomorrow, I'm scared to not work out. Like, it worked. Does that make sense? Like, it worked the second time. That's how I know if you guys do this thing one time and it doesn't work for you, do it again. Because it's working for a lot of other people in the room. Do it again. It's going to work. So if you change, everything will change for you. All right. Now, the last pillar is duplication. So your example, it sets the standard for your team, but it's your right example is going to set the standard for your team. So duplication is the ability to reliably reproduce something of value, okay? You need to become more valuable to produce something of better quality. So I have to put myself in situations where it's going to grow me, so that way I can reproduce something of better quality, right? Because I can't reproduce something I'm not made of, okay? Now, the thing of it is that if you're wondering like what that looks like, is that so what does it mean to become a better version of yourself? You need to be taught to think differently. Where are you taught to think differently? That's the books you read, the people you're around in these events, right? So when you think differently, you're gonna behave differently, you're gonna get results, and then you're cloned, okay? And once you're cloned, then you can go ahead and you can teach somebody to think differently, behave differently, get results, and be cloned. We need to teach ourselves to be brilliant in the basics. Brilliant in the basics. I'm reading this book right now. It's called Up Your Biz. And he says, we sell hot food hot and cold food cold. That's it. We don't get crazy. We don't like it lukewarm. We don't leave it out at night. We sell hot food hot and cold food cold. What do we do here? We recruit, we sell, we build. Day in and day out. And we teach the right people how to do it. How do you know if they're the right person? Honestly, we're unsure. We're unsure until it works. Like I'm the baby of 3. I like to think they worked out the kinks on the other 2. And I don't know if they got it completely right, but it seemed to work because I'm here. Does that make sense? All right. So we teach people exactly what we do, exactly how we call, exactly how we ask questions, exactly what we do in the home, exactly how we interview. Sometimes you're going to be wrong, but trust only motion, okay? We got to fly through this because I really want to get to this last bit. But the impact, okay, it's a domino effect. If your mindset sucks, your communication is going to suck, the work is non-existent, or you're going to get duplication of nothing or bad quality. So we got to clean it up. And we got to start in the mind. The war is in your mind first, okay? The thing about precision is it only takes being a hair off to miss your target. One hair off to miss your target. In a military strategy, one misstep leads to a larger failure. So here, the coolest part is that we're all started equally. We all got the same license. We all have the same opportunity. the same exact one. And so what I say here is like your biggest misstep is just not taking one at all. It's just not moving forward at all. So here's what I'll do. These things are not going to happen by accident. Casualness leads to casualties. Do me a favor. Don't miss your shot. I'm Michelle Jones. I'm out of here. Thank you, guys.